Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, May 31st, around 9 p.m. Mountain Time 2024. An impulsive X1.1 solar flare from active region 3697 occurred earlier today. It appears as if no coronal mass ejection is coming from the outburst, but a filament eruption more centrally located may be headed our way. Keep calm. It's boom time. Now, as we wait for the incoming geomagnetic storm from the X flare a few days ago, let's talk about the weather. Texas again under threat of blistering winds, large hail as severe weather endures for the 11th consecutive day. Yeah, that's true. Friday marks the 11th consecutive day with severe weather threatening parts of Texas, the nexus of the Schmexus, like we've said for years. Clusters of thunderstorms moving through the region into Friday afternoon pose a risk of severe wind, gusts over 60 miles per hour, and you guessed it, large hail. Strap on those helmets, kids, as large hail causes damage across Denver Metro Thursday night. More severe storms possible on Friday. Take a look at the hail here in the morning. Holy macaroni. Hail up to 2.75 inches in diameter was reported to the National Weather Service. That is, in fact, gorilla hail. Here's the hail map for Thursday, May 30th, and it was epic. Almost 300,000 households impacted by hail, 1 inch or larger. 30,853 households impacted by gorilla hail. That is a 42 square mile swath. It's one of the largest areas of gorilla hail we've seen the entire time we've been reporting on hail. Better get those helmets on. And the power doesn't look so good in Texas, the nexus of the Schmexus, where this all rocks down. Still, over 100,000 people without power almost a week after the initial storm that brought 1 million to their knees. Now, Texas showing 115,651 without power, followed by Louisiana with just 12,544 customers in the dark. And here's the forecast. An active pattern for the center of the nation, increasing rainfall threat for the Pacific Northwest. An active pattern remains in place across the center of the country with additional threats from severe thunderstorms and heavy rainfall. These concerns will remain in place through most of the weekend, so heed the warnings. An approaching storm across the Pacific Northwest is expected to bring heavy rainfall and strong winds late this weekend, which could lead to flooding. The heat risk and fire weather concerns will increase across the southwest as well, from the southern tip of Texas all the way to the tip of California. Like we said maybe a week ago, all of the models are showing high heat for these regions. So stay inside, stay cool, and turn that swamp cooler on. Quick look at the GFS model for the severe weather threat. You can see just north of Louisiana there in southern Arkansas, that little pod moving through is going to move into Tennessee in the next few hours. Hours of powers. And then we will see an explosion here Saturday into Sunday in a straight line from South Dakota all the way through Texas, which will lead us out into the beginning of the week here. Monday, the threat goes to the northern plains. Oh, and that could be huge. Take a look at that. This is going to be Monday, June 3rd. Big weather coming for North, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Nebraska. Say it ain't soda, but the GFS model is showing it. Quick look at the total snowfall on the GFS model shows just some more snow coming in through the first week of June, and then the models go dead. So we may not yell at Al Gore much more, but anything is possible. Take a look at this. Rare frost advisories in Ontario. It's snowing in northern India as well, and spring freeze sharply reduces Russia's wheat harvest. And a new Hunga Tunga paper discusses huge and long-lasting impacts to global temperatures and precipitation worldwide. Rare frost advisories in Ontario. The weather agency said frost is possible Friday morning, potentially damaging fruit trees and vegetable plants. Oh, Grand solar minimum much? The Kent Federation of Agriculture said the big concern is transplanted vegetable crops like tomatoes. The longer it stays cold, the more damage will be done. How fun. It's also snowing in northern India, with the legacy media shamelessly exploiting and exaggerating Delhi's heat wave due to some faulty equipment. It should be pointed out that such high temperatures are localized and not indicative of the Asian continent at large, where you can see these purple regions, which show 20 degrees below normal in many of the areas. As the media yells all-time heat records and children are fainting, much of Asia is actually colder than average. How do you like them apples? Take a look at some fresh snow from Rohtang Pass in India. Holy macaroni. Yeah, they look like they're burning up there now, don't they? Yeah, that looks very hot. Yes. Why is that still going on? All right, we got to turn that off. All right, we just want to thank each and every one of you for watching us tonight as the spring freeze sharply reduces the Russian wheat harvest. The Russian grain harvest is expected to be pegged back to 129 million metric tons in 2024 due to the freezing temperatures recorded in the country earlier this month. The head of the Russian Grain Union, Arkady Zlochinyevsky, said, areas impacted by the unseasonal cold are sufficiently large, and farmers are planning to resow almost 1 million hectares of the 1.5 million destroyed, but the optimal sowing window has long been missed, meaning yields will be extremely low regardless. And those are a sign of the time. Seismic update. Moderate activity worldwide. We've got some mid-ocean ridge activity, 4.4 near Svalbard. It appears as if the Earth is expanding. We've got a 6.2 here in the Prince Edward Island region, 5.6 in the South Sandwich Islands. Mid-ocean ridges are rocking. Interesting quake here, 5.6 in Xinjiang, China. I just like to say Xinjiang, so I did. And some moderate activity on the Kamchatka. As we're taking a quick look at the map from the SO2 total column coming from the Iceland eruption, you can see a massive front there that is headed towards Europe. Buckle up, Buttercup. White Island volcano, no further activity as the alert level has been lowered to yellow. Sangay volcano, 19,000 foot puff today. We've got Sabancay to 22, Semeru to 15, Popo to 20, Marapi puffing and passing to 20,000 feet. That was quite a big boom. Liwatobi to 7,000 feet today, Reventador, possible volcanic ash, Fuego to 15, Sangay to 19. The eruption continues on the Reykjanes Peninsula north of Grindavik at reduced levels. And we did just show you the SO2 map. So Marapi with the big boom today. Volcanic ash reported to 20,000 feet. Sabancay to 27,000. Santa Rita to 15,000. Ducono to 8. Sangay to 19. Big day for booms. 15,000 at Semeru. Who knew? Now you do. Stromboli, stunning aerial video of the erupting Hornito. If you don't know what a Hornito is, it is a really tall, thin volcanic neck there. Kind of like a volcanic potato gun. That was pretty weak. We showed you the map of the SO2 emissions headed towards Europe. Ibu puffing to 18,000 foot today. We've got Ebeko to 10,000 foot. Stromboli, ongoing activity at the volcano summit, was published recently. Fuego, possible volcanic ash. Liwatobi puffing to 6,000. Dempo, what a name. Volcanic ash to 11,000 feet from Dempo today. Holy macaroni. Semeru, who knew? 15,000 foot puff. Sakurajima, 7,000 foot puff today. What a list. Something is afoot on the volcanoes, as the volcanic eruption has remained relatively stable over the past 24 hours at exceptionally low levels, much reduced from the initial eruption. The eruption continues. The volcanic eruption has remained stable over the last 24 hours. Lava flow mainly occurring between Hagafell and Slingafell. The average lava flow during the first 4 hours of the eruption was about 1,500 cubic meters per second. Volcanic smog has been observed in many areas across the country as air quality can be monitored here. So click the link below and go get it. Gas pollution might be noticed in Ulfus, in the capital area, in the coming days, but the threat is now moving towards Europe. Space weather update. An impulsive X1.1 solar flare was detected around AR 3697, formerly 3664, the sunspot that brought us the biggest solar storm since the October Halloween storm of 2003. The quick rising flare will likely not be the source of a noteworthy eruption or CME. However, additional updates will be provided if necessary. This is now the 48th X flare of the current solar cycle 25, leaving us just one behind the total amount of X flares during the entirety of 24, which is one of the weakest solar cycles in over 2 centuries. This cycle, even though may be approaching the same amount of X flares, has much smaller X flares than cycle 24 itself. The largest X flare for cycle 24 was, I believe, 8.9, and we're only halfway approaching that. So we either have a long way to go at solar max, or this could be the end, and cycle 25 will be part of the grand minima that is the modern grand minima, and meaning cycle 26 might be non-existent. So stay tuned as the facts reveal themselves before our very lives. Here's the solar flare in question. An impulsive X1.18. No CME produced, but let's take a look at the WSA Enlil spiral just to be sure. Still no updates on the Enlil spiral. It's the same exact model as it has been for 3 days, showing the X flare coming out days ago. That was, let's move this back and we can actually see its inception on the 29th, and the impact should be on the 1st, which is already now. And let's take a quick look over at, let's just stop this, for goodness sakes. Let's look at the Discover Solar Wind, where we can see that just earlier tonight there was a spike in density and temperature, and the telemetry is now rising. No shift in the phi angle, no shift in the BZ. Earlier today, 24 hours ago, we did have a quick shift in the phi and the BZ, which brought KP to 5, but I don't see any evidence of that CME hitting us. It could be this minor phi angle shift right here, which kicked up the speed nominally. If this is the CME hitting, well, there's going to be definitely no Aurora tonight. Weak Aurora forecast currently, but we're keeping a close eye on the telemetry because there is still a possibility of a major wave coming anytime soon. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. The earliest and most distant galaxy ever observed was just observed, and it's Jade's GSZ 14-0. The James Webb Space Telescope has smashed its own record for detecting the most distant known galaxy. The only problem is the galaxy has oxygen, it's highly organized, and there is no way this could be existing at the inception of the universe, which is just a few 100,000 years after the Big Bang. Well, and clearly in this article, they didn't also reference other papers that have come out that have shown the J. Johnson Space Webb Telescope has proven that the universe is not 14.8 billion years old. It may be 28 billion years old because they keep looking further and further into the distance. It is our supposition that the universe is infinite, and that as each machine is made to veer and look deeper into the universe, they will keep seeing stuff. Just like these highly developed galaxies 13.8 billion light years away. Let that sink in. Let this sink in. 6 months ago on our radio show, I posited the hypothesis that the banning of these disgusting fuels on tankers in the middle of the ocean may have caused the spike in global ocean temperatures and global temperatures worldwide. And now a paper coming out confirming the exact same thing that I posited a half a year ago on our radio show. Unexpected global warming spike due to abrupt reduction in shipping emissions. These emissions used to form something called ship tracks, which are the same as what people think are chemtrails or contrails, but they literally put up persistent trails over the ocean, keeping it cool. Well, once they banned these dirty fuels, the ship tracks ended and the oceans heated. And the global warming fearmongers went crazy with the data. Now, didn't they? Here's the paper: abrupt reduction in shipping emissions as an inadvertent geoengineering termination shock produces substantial radiative warming. The proof is in the pudding. Our supposition was correct, and the data proves it. It is not because CO2 is rising that the oceans are warming, or the Earth itself. It's because we're reducing emissions and more sunlight is hitting the surface that the surface is warming up. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah. Natural climate variability has been going on for millennia, even millions of years. Well, could be billions of years. Holy macaroni. And one of the effects of climate change during the Ice Age, which we are still living, is the Heinrich event, an event where huge ice-rafted icebergs move towards the equator, deposit debris onto the seafloor. That's how we know they occur. And then they shut down ocean circulation because of the freshwater nature. And the cooling element shuts down the AMOC, shuts down Pacific circulations. And then we go back into deep ice age. A new paper coming out, Historic Iceberg Surges Offer Insights into Modern Climate Change, is gobbledygook, because these Heinrich events have nothing to do with the fake narrative of CO2 and human-induced warming. That's a fairy tale. But natural variability does continue, and we have been warming since the 1800s, which means we could be entering the next Heinrich event right before your very lives, which is why all these papers are coming out on the shutdown of the AMOC and all the ocean circulation patterns. They are all being shut down because the ice is melting. But in order to have an actual Heinrich event, we need tons and tons of icebergs to head towards North Carolina, and that is just not happening. I do digress. Have you ever considered what a swastika is? I have, and the proof is in the pudding. There are over a dozen cultures that have used the swastika over the last 10,000 years. And it has nothing to do with the Nazis, Germany, World War II. That is all propaganda. The swastika is nothing more than an equinoctial and solstice calendar based on the Big Dipper and the northern polar star Polaris. And here we can see all of the iterations of the swastika time immemorial. None of them represent hatred, white supremacy, or any of that. The history that you believe, the brainwashing that has been complete, is so sad. The fact that this wasn't taught to me in first and second grade is beyond me. And it takes you time. I'm now 53 years old, and it's taken me this much time to understand how much of everything I've ever been taught is a complete fantasy. You know what's not a fantasy? Going back to our roots, growing our own food, no chemicals, no pesticides, no multinational corporations controlling everything we do. We need to get back to an agrarian society where you and I can survive and thrive on our own time. We don't need a supermarket. We don't need a Walmart for anything. Fish, meat, eggs, milk, butter, vegetables, and fruits all should be provided for free from Mother Earth. That's the way it was always provided. I'm pretty sure 4,000 years ago, people weren't paying for food. They were giving it away, they were harvesting it, and they were sharing it with everyone, or they were bartering. meat for the fruit I just picked today. This is the type of society we need to go back into. We need to start making our own new tribes. Tribes are the future. When the shit hits the fan, if you don't have a tribe, you're going to be on your own. There's no way you can survive and thrive in like a grid down scenario, a blackout, or any of the scenarios that may be coming, financial distress, if you're alone. If you've got a network, a group of people that all have different skills, different things to bring to the table, you're going to be much better off. Remember, the 7 Ps, proper prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. And the way you can start is failing at growing your own food. All heirloom vegetable seeds, the cheapest on earth from our affiliate, the Alliance of Native Seed Keepers. We get some money, they get some money, you get some seeds, and they're the cheapest on earth. $2 per pack, all heirloom. Open pollinated, seed savable seeds, which means you can create seed sovereignty in your region, create your own land race, be self-sufficient. If you use coupon code ORP2024, you get an additional 10% off. All orders over $25, free shipping. You can't beat it. The seeds basically are free, and that is a boom. To knowledge and the cheapest seeds on earth. Go get them. We love each and every one of you. We want to see you all survive and thrive in the coming times. And the next few months heading into this election are going to be a doozy. Buckle up. We love each and every one of you. I hope and I pray that you're growing your own food. Be safe. And that's a boom.